Welcome back to another episode of Boom or Bust, your home for NFL Draft Talk. I'm your host Terry, and today the draft is over. Doing the draft recap. Congratulations. This is the AFC West. You are the last group. I can put this to bed and take a little bit of a rest to kind of recuperate. Draft season was long as always, fun as always, but it's draining. So anyway, let me not ramble. This is the last one. I'm excited. So just a reminder, not doing grades. Don't do grades. Don't like to grade people before they play. Also, I'm not intimate with every team's roster and situation. Do not give me the blowback, please. I'm not going to know all your free agents and what everything you did. I just don't follow your team like that. So I'm going to speak more about the prospects and talk about what I feel like they are and not focus so much on your roster and the fit and all that good stuff. So with that being said, though, let's kick this thing off with the Kansas City Chiefs. And this is a interesting draft to me. So Chiefs, of course, didn't pick in the first round. Ended up taking Breeland Speaks with their first pick in the second round. And this was one of the mother of all shockers. I mean, you had probably 5 or 6 really huge shockers on the first 2 rounds. This is one of them. Breeland Speaks, a super tweener. People didn't really know what his position would be. And then just a guy's overall prospect that wasn't commanding that much of a buzz. And so him going in the second round when people probably had him closer to undrafted is just kind of crazy. I mean, he's got, like I say, he's a tweener frame. He's got, strength and power and size, but he's also, got a lean enough frame to get bigger. So, the card says defensive tackle, but the team saying they might move an outside backer. He played all over the front for Ole Miss, but Ole Miss was just trash this year. It was just really in shambles this year. And so Speaks is an interesting one. Outside linebacker 280, I don't know about all that. He looks like a classic elephant linebacker, but I don't think he has the speed for it. And so I thought his best bet would be in the interior as a DM in the odd front. And so I think you can move him around, but it's a head scratcher. You got the young Mahomes coming in. I mean, you got Sammy Watkins and Hill, but you probably thought more so towards the O-line or something to really solidify around Mahomes, even though he's got good targets. It's just, Speaks. I don't know if that's the first guy I would have went with. Then you got Derek Nandy out of Florida State, who's a solid prospect, not someone I would have got in the third round. I think he's steady Eddie with both of the game, run and pass game, but I don't know that he has a ceiling that's special. And then you get Dorian O'Daniel in the third round. I didn't like his tape. I mean, he's a tweener as well. You got a guy that he's not. I don't know. It's tough. You like his special team ability and production. You like his motor, but a lot of stuff that I don't like, his tackling, his ability to take on blocks, his recognition, his movement skills. I mean, he's a hybrid, I guess, as people kind of say. If you think about Minka, how he just kind of played a nickel role. And I think that's kind of how people would see Dorian O'Daniel. But third round's way too rich for me. I had him bottom of the draft. And then Armani Watts, a real talented guy, compact, not the size that a lot of people want, but talented, explosive kid. Should be interesting where they try to play him. And you got Eric Berry, of course, gonna be your enforcer. Well, it'd be interesting if they try to make Watts a center fielder, and he's active enough. It's just I worry about his lack of height and what he'll be able to do as a deep safety there as far as playing ball in the air. But he's explosive, so I wouldn't put it past them. Then got a couple 6th round picks, nothing special to note. And then we move on to the Oakland Raiders. Another interesting draft. You got PJ Hall in the 2nd round. Another guy that people expect to go way lower than that. And, but I'm jumping ahead. Colton Miller. Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm just not shocked because Colton Miller's a guy, not a fan of him as a prospect, got a decent ceiling, but just not a guy I would have talked about first round, but he's been talked about as first round throughout the process. So him going in the first, not too shocked. Going 15 is a little bit weird, but not too shocked. I am shocked that John Gruden went with a project, and not just him, it's a number of projects on here, but went with a project guy instead of a player that's more ready. Cole Miller's not taking over anybody's spot, at least not at a high level right now. He's got a lot of strength and balance and core strength to get together, but also a lot of technique to get together. Now, we've seen him working hard in the off season, but you can do that stuff for a week or a month. It's talking about muscle memory and making it your primary, muscle skill. So it's a long way to go for Cole Miller. It'll be interesting. PJ Hall again, second round. I can't justify that one. I really can't. Brandon Parker, interesting. I would have took Brandon Parker for Cole Miller as a project. And Brandon Parker is closer to getting game ready. It's just to talk about his lower level of competition. But I think with the frame, with the Senior Bowl and stuff that he was able to show, I think he's ready to make that leap. And so, interesting in two tackles. I know the right tackle was not a position that was really solidified at any point. But also, I would say that your left tackle spot is eventually going to have to be changed over with Donald Penn kind of getting up there in age. And then we go down to the third round with Arden Key. When you talk, not project, but when you talk about a flyer, a guy that is a person that has character issues and will really need to show that he can overcome that, I think John Gruden is an interesting choice for a guy that can make him into a professional, but we'll see. We'll have to see. I don't know what Gruden's impact is going to be after so many years, out of the league and, with these day and age players. I just don't know. It's not that I don't think he could do it. It's just, it'll be interesting. I think Arden Key's terrific talent. And I'm not sure what type of scheme they're going to be running, as far as defense, but Arden Key and Khalil Mack, I think, would be a nice, combo on the edge if, they can get Arden Key on track. Nick Nelson, more of a flyer in the fourth round. Some people liked him, some people didn't. I think he's a real middle of the road prospect, to be quite honest with you. Will be a good special teamer, as a decent returner. As a corner. I think he's real limited, so I don't know how much he'll ever give you as a starter. Then Maurice Hurst, probably the biggest thing you want to talk about as a flyer in the fifth round. Really fell down the charts. A presumed number one player, has a heart condition that people believe he won't be able to play that long of a career. So fifth round, again, you're not giving up much to take a flyer on him. He's got an amazing first step, really active motor. I think there's things you got to clean up with his ability to get off blocks. But overall, just a guy that has some really supreme traits as far as his ceiling. So I would love to see him overcome this and really see the Raiders get a steal, because he's a kid with his head on right, and you just hope for the best for him. Then you go down to the last pick, Marcel Aitman, a guy that I thought was worth a fourth or fifth round pick at receiver, the running mate at Oklahoma State to James Washington. I think he's one of those quote unquote big boys that has a lot of movement skills like a Cortland Sutton and can run routes better than people expect. So, him going low was a little bit of a surprise to me, but I think you get a steal there. I mean, you got Cooper, but you kind of picking up the pieces and going in a different direction with Crabtree and them leaving. So I think Aitman comes in. If he makes the roster, I think he absolutely gives you more upside than you might expect. Then we go to the LA Chargers. I be getting the LAs mixed up. Derwin James, a guy that a lot of people thought the Chargers would love to have. But as we got close to the draft, it sounded like Derwin James just was not going to be there. And for some reason he failed and ended up right where we expected. And so the Chargers getting safety to come in and hopefully establish a presence in that secondary. And Derwin James, even if he's not what he was as a sophomore, I still think he's a credible athlete. And he may not be as fast as he once was, but I still think he gives you tremendous upside as a combo safety in the run and pass game. Can get better, coming downhill, but I still think overall, blitzing, pass-wise, run-wise, it's an amazing combo. Then you got Uchenna, Nwosa. You got Ingram, you got, Atachu, I believe they, end up bringing him back on a tender or something. And then, Bosa is an interior guy. So you got guys, but of course you want to continue to get the edge, prepared to have depth and, to move on. I'm not a huge fan of Uchenna, especially as an edge rusher. I thought he was out of position. He's longer than I might have, thought on tape, but still he's just not fast. He jumps the snap and that's how he wins sometimes, but he's not explosive. And he doesn't have great bend. I think he's got average bend. He's a dog to the quarterback. He fights, but I just don't think he has the natural bend to win on the edge all the time. But I do think he'll be a good run stopper. I think he'd be best moving to a stack backer, but as a Sam backer anyway. So, it might work. It might work. I just don't think he's going to be the third down pass rush specialist. Justin Jones, I like the player. I don't know where he fits in this because he's way too undersized to be a true nose. And then you're talking about a guy that, he really showed that he has a good motor and he's quicker for his size. So we'll see. But not a guy that's going to anchor down in. I've heard some people tell me that Bradley is like running a blend. So it's hard for me to tell you, but if it's the traditional 3-4 that I remember the Chargers for, I'm not sure how he fits. Now, if it's more even front looks, then I think that makes more sense. Kaiser White, that's a steal, man. Now the question is, Derwin James gives you a lot, but he's not a free safety in any sense of the word. And Kaiser White is only a strong safety. So what do you do with those two? I don't know, cause Kaiser played more of a dog safety is what I called him, 3-3-5 at West Virginia. And so you never really seen him as a back end defender. And Derwin James can do both, but it's like, well, what, do you bring Kaiser in on a package on third down or, where you gonna move where at? So I think he ends up being depth right now. I wouldn't feel comfortable having Derwin and Kaiser White as my starting safeties. I'm not saying they will be, but at any point if they were, you talking about guys that really are limited in coverage. So I wonder what they're going to do with White. Quessenberry, you got a team with Feeney. You got Forrest Lamp coming back, hopefully healthy this year to really show, his first full season. And so where does Scott Quessenberry fit in? I don't know, but I think he's real solid. I think he's better than the 5th round, grade or pick that he is. I think he can play guard if he wanted to, but I like him as center. Feeney is a guard, by trade. And, Forrest Lamp is a 5-tool guy. So if you want to go Quessenberry and then Feeney and Lamp at guard, that works. I'm not sure the other depth guys they got on there, but in the 5th round, you expect Quessenberry to probably be a depth guy, but I think eventually he's a starter by next year. Then, lastly, let's look real quick at the Miami Dolphins. Oh, sorry. Wow. I got completely twisted. The Denver Broncos. And Denver, you got Bradley Chubb. Congratulations. I think everybody believes Denver was on the move from that pick. But once you saw Denzel Ward go number 4, plans completely changed. Bradley Chubb is on the board. You get the best pass rusher in the draft, and you pair him up with one of the best pass rushers in the league. Going to be interesting. You want to move back to those days where you lock down on the outside and then you rush the passer to the point people couldn't stand it. And so I think you make that first move towards that. Cortland Sutton, interesting pick to go here. I still think Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas give you some high level ability, and you bring in Cortland where he's not asked to be the focal point. I think that's going to help him get down a lot sooner, as they say. I think Casey Keenum will be fine. They gave him the vote of confidence. They didn't get the quarterback, and I think he showed that he knows how to find people. So Cortland Sutton, a little bit better mover than I thought when I initially watched him. And as we got towards the draft, not a first round guy, but I think, he gives you 50-50 ball, ability, gives you red zone ability. And I think, with real established receiving core and tradition so far with, guys in Denver, you could help Cortland come along. Royce Freeman, a zone running specialist. I like him a lot. Hopefully get his weight down and get his explosion back up. CJ Anderson is gone, but I think he'll still be back, running back by committee. But I think Freeman's a decent pickup in the third. Don't know much about Isaac Yaldum from Boston College. Not going to be, dishonest with you. That was a shock to see him in the third. Josie Joel, good linebacker, just really limited, because of his athleticism, but I think that's a leader. I think that's a really good pick. And, I could definitely see him being a 2-down linebacker, pretty soon, right out the gate. And Deshaun Hamilton, they go another receiver. Interesting prospect. I think he was super underrated throughout the process. I think the more I watched him throughout the process, I liked it a lot more and a lot more. People love this, person as a kid. And so I think as a player, he can give you a lot in the slot. And so it'll be interesting to see him work with Sanders and continue to build. Troy Fumagalli, a lot of people liked him coming into the season as one of the better tight ends. Didn't produce as much and really was just more of a blocker. But as I got close to the draft, I saw glimpses and flashes of what his receiving ability could be. I don't think it's super high ceiling, but I think with his catch radius, with his slightly above average athleticism, I think he's going to be a better target than people are giving him credit for. And then you got some couple other lower round picks. So really that's my thoughts on the AFC West, the Wild Wild West. I would love you go to the comment section, tell me what you think about your team's draft, what players you're excited about. Thumbs up, subscribe, share it around, and remember, thank you for listening.